I don't normally do this. I don't normally share conversations that are private. But on this occasion, I'm going to make an exception because of this man here who is going out of his way at the moment to ruin me and my business because of a disagreement over a live feed that he was on. I think he's a very sad man, and I thought more of him until I listened to what he's spouting on his page about me. So you've asked for this, Robert. Welcome.
Is crapping his pants, but he's got to go through it. And did you get hurt? Did you not get hurt?
Oh God! Again, this is probably the worst one. I had to get a colleague to trap me on a balcony with a pit bull that seriously meant me harm, and it had already attacked several people. I got there. It was up on this balcony, which is where it lived. And when I say balcony, it's a tower block, and the balcony runs the whole width of the block. So it's up there on this landing, and I've got to somehow catch this dog. And the moment I appeared on the balcony, it launched itself at me. All I had was my catch pole. So I'm trying to beat this dog off me, and it's grabbing the pole, and it's trying to pull the pole off me, and I'm being dragged down the thing with it. But to this day, I wish somebody had video recorded it, because it was the most amazing thing. And I spent 40 minutes on this balcony with this dog. And what happened, oh God, I'm so upset that I'd never got a recording of it. What it realized had to do was it had to wear me out. And it literally started to hunt me. It would walk right off down the end of this balcony. I mean, it's 100 meters down the end of this corridor, and then it would turn around and charge back up at me. And I stood there like with my baseball bat, ready to whack this dog. And as it would fly through, I'd just whack it as hard as I can. And then I had to keep whacking it and whacking it. It's grabbing the grasp and it's trying to pull it off me. And then it would just stop. And it would go back off down the balcony, turn around, fly back at me again. And it was like it had realized the best way to get rid of this guy is I'm going to have to wear him out. You know, like when you see a predator realize that the prey is too big, and he'll just hunt it and until it's so exhausted, he can then bring it down. And this went on for 40 minutes. He would stop, turn, go off back down the balcony, gather his wits, fly back at me. We'd wrestle around. He'd stop. I had sweat pouring off me. And as I got weaker, this dog got stronger because he realized I was weakening. And so the attacks got more and more severe. And I thought in the end, and it's funny, you've got a dog, or used to have a dog warden out there. Her name was Diane Jessup.
No.
And I went to a conference that she was running, and it was called How to Deal with the Dog That Means to Kill You. And so many of the things that she said, I remember to this day, and that must have been 25 years ago. And she gave us such good advice on how to not get killed. And I still remember one of the key ones she said was that if ever you meet a dog that's going to kill you, let it get hold of a part of you that you can afford to lose until you can do something effective about it. And I thought, I'm going to have to let this dog get me, get hold of my right arm because I'm left-handed, and I thought I'm going to then have to try and hoist it over the balcony because we're 7 stories up. And I'm going to have to throw it off the balcony because I know I haven't got much fight left in me. And so that was what I realized I was going to have to do because I was going to lose. The dog was getting more aggressive, more full on because it could see that I was tiring. And luckily for me, after I'd made that decision, one of my colleagues came. She had a load of drugged meat. She threw it over the balcony to the dog. The dog was still so angry, it just attacked the meat, and tablets were flying everywhere. And I'm thinking it's never going to eat enough to collapse it. And you know what pits are like when you try and drug them? You have to give them 10 times what you'd give everything else.
Yeah, and when you try to euthanize them, sometimes too, they.
Oh my God! You zap it, and it just stands there looking at you. You know. But luckily, it had taken enough. It then carried on attacking me, but it got slower and slower and weaker until eventually it passed out, and we were able then to catch it. But I really thought, I haven't got another 10 minutes in me. You know, this dog is going to get me, and once it does, I know it's not going to stop. You know. But I would love to be able to look back at it and see that point in its mind where it switched and said, I don't have to keep getting hit by this guy. I'll just hunt him. I'll wear him out, and then I'm going to rip his face off. And I could see it coming, you know. That was probably one of the most intense ones. It's fascinating.
So without being bitchy, let's analyse what he said. This is coming from an ex-animal welfare officer who thinks I should be prosecuted for correcting a dog the way I corrected a dog on a video that went viral on the internet. He's very quick to give his opinion, and yet he doesn't like it when someone gives their opinion. This was not forced out of him. He was asked a question by Chris Fraser, and Chris Fraser gave him the platform, and off he went with a story. At one point, he says he had a catch pole. The next minute, he actually said a baseball bat. Then when I questioned him in private, he said I didn't have a baseball bat. I used the catch pole as a baseball bat. So at the end of the day, he didn't use the catch pole to catch the dog. He used the catch pole to beat the dog. Or defend himself. I wasn't there. How can I make judgment? But I can question things, can't I? So what I asked him is, Chris Fraser said in the beginning of this sentence that 26-year-old Robert. Now, if you were 26 and you've not been in the game very long, and you're on a top balcony, and you've got a pit bull or a Rottweiler or a Staffy running at you flat out, or an Alsatian, you've got to make a decision. If you feel your life is in danger, you have to act in the right manner. But I was shocked when I was listening to the live feed, and he said that he made the decision to catch the dog, let it bite him, and throw it over a 7th floor balcony. I mean, just imagine doing that and it hit somebody down the bottom. Just imagine you've got a split decision. You catch the dog on your arm and you heave it over the balcony, and what if it doesn't let go? Are you going over the balcony with the dog? I thought it was a crazy, crazy scenario, but I've never been in that situation. So guess what? At that point, I was willing to learn, but I asked the question. I said, beat a dog with a baseball bat. Why did I ask that question? Because I know that if you beat those sort of dogs with a baseball bat, they're going to come at you harder. It's as simple as that. But I do understand if you're defending yourself or defending someone's life, then I totally understand. I was not rubbishing him. I was saying, wow, words of wisdom coming from an ex-welfare officer. But to suggest you could throw it over the balcony, I was in slight shock at that point, because that's not the way I would have dealt with the situation when I was 26 years old. But at the end of the day, he said he had the experience back then. So in the private conversation, I said to him, what would you have done in reality now? And he said, I had experience then. Well, if you had experience then, I'm asking you, what would you do now? He didn't answer that question. He wasn't willing to answer that question. Because if he thinks he can do it with a treat bag, then he's dreaming. As simple as that. But people need to know, because if you're ever in that situation and you're having to defend yourself or defend somebody's life, you have a right to defend yourself. I'm not rubbishing him for that. What I'm saying is, those words coming from an ex-animal welfare officer, you think he'd have more knowledge and understanding. His colleague obviously did. His colleague obviously did. Let's move on, shall we? This is a game of honesty.
I don't get it really. Why? It's this thing of me that I just think, why can't people just be nice to people?
I don't like these groups. I don't go on gun dog forums. Why? Because it's just a bitch fight between people who've got no idea.
I'm the same. I stay off those forum things. They're a bloody nuisance.
Yeah, I'm never on them.
But you see, remember, to be clear, I didn't say that I had a problem with your training. I said I had a problem with a particular thing that I saw you do on a video.
Yeah.
I don't know your training, Chris.
No.
And I'm always honest with people. If I say I don't like your training, it's because I don't like basically anything you do. But all I refer to, which is all I know of your training, is that one particular thing that happened in that one particular video. But I can guarantee you, I have never slagged you off as a trainer, because I don't know you as a trainer.
No.
I will slag off a trainer. I mean, look at Stillwell. I fucking hate that one.
Yeah.
Let's make no bones
Yeah.
about it. And I've made that very clear. But I slag her off because of her training.
But
not because I hate her.
No, so it's not personal, is it? It's not personal.
I've never hit a woman in my life.
No.
She would be an exception. If I thought I could belt that bitch in the face, I would.
Yeah.
But I only ever criticise her training.
So, who's the bully? We'll have to let the public make that decision. Is that the sort of action from a TV film star or a diva?
This is the problem, Robert. Yes, it's not my job, is it, to sort out the world? How can one man sort out the dog training world? But by showing discipline, showing correction, and showing results, and that's what I've done, I've built a name for myself. I've set a precedent in this country to say you can use discipline, you can use correction, but you can't use cruelty. And 95% of my training is fun-based training. If you've not watched it, you wouldn't understand how I train.
Which is why I've never criticised you for how you train, because I don't know. And I don't criticise the stuff I don't know.